Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. As usual, I can take no credit for what we're going to talk about. I was asked to speak. I was given a topic. I appreciate the opportunity to do some research, to review some material, and then have the ability to present it to you. But everything we're going to talk about tonight comes from the U.S. Spiritist Federation, obviously then from the Spirit's book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, different references that we'll talk about a little bit in here tonight. So let's jump into this. How many of you believe in mediumship? Most of you, if you're in a Spiritist center, yeah? I'm not convinced. I don't know. No, I'm convinced in so many ways. I won't share all my personal stories, but I'm convinced. I believe. So as we were just speaking to, there's some pillars or some main principles in Spiritism, some foundational things or some supportive things. You know, these are things we believe, and one of those is the communicability of the spirits. In other words, how do I, in an incarnate body, communicate with a spirit that's not here anymore, right? That's gone out of the material world, but is with us spiritually, right? How does that communication happen? And is it just, am I special? Am I the only one that can do it? Or can all of us do it? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, first we need to talk about a very simple fact. When I say spirit, when I say soul, when I say body, right? All these things are tied, but a spirit is nothing more than the soul of humans that have left the earth, right? Or material bodies that have died. Like when right now I'm alive. I'm in a physical body. I have a soul. My spirit is on the other side, attached via my perispirit. But when this body dies, there's no more soul, right? Just the spirit. Make sense? Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. But if you talk about your soul, it's because you're still alive and walking the earth, or in some material form, in whatever material plane you happen to be in. So when we die, what happens, right? Why do we assume, or did we assume prior to believing what we believe today, that it all ends when you die, right? I was like that. Many of you maybe the same way. When I was a kid, I was just convinced when you die, that's it. Because I couldn't understand the pearly gate thing or the fiery pit. You know, it didn't make sense. So to me, nah, it's not real. When I die, that's it. But we know now that we keep thinking, right? Just because I pass away, whenever that day comes, right? My spirit continues. It's eternal, right? We'll come again in another body, reincarnate. Same spirit, different body many times. That spirit, when my physical body perishes, keeps thinking. It definitely wants to communicate with my loved ones, wants to visit them at some point. And believe it or not, right, the spirit can act upon matter via the perispirit, which we'll talk a little bit more about in later slides. But it doesn't just stop when my body dies, because after all, this is just my body, not my spirit, not my eternal self. Another natural fact and resource of spiritual progress that Spiritism talks about is very important to tell you that we didn't invent this, right? Mediumship, the ability to communicate with spirit, eternal nature of the spirit. But it's not a spiritist principle, right? We didn't create that. We didn't define that. Mediumship, the ability to talk to spirits, existed long before Spiritism was penned, if you will. So it's not new or isolated or simply part of Spiritism. It belongs to the world, yeah? It was here a long time before us. So essentially, when we talk about this continuum or this oneness, right? But me, in a material body right now, I'm incarnated, right? I have this material envelope attached to my spirit, which is the eternal being. And what ties us together is this universal cosmic fluid. And we could spend hours talking about this, and I'd still be confused. But think about this universal cosmic fluid as the lowest common denominator of matter, that integral matter that we're all comprised of. All matter has this in it. Some people call it the God element. Some people call it different things. But that one thing that's universal to all matter ties us all together. And the spirit and the medium, right? That's the the incarnate person, me in this case, talking about this. I'm a medium. There's a lot of you are mediums. Most of us are in this room. There's that ability for the spirit and the medium to communicate, and then the medium shares what the spirit has shared with the rest of the world or those around him. So how does this spirit communication work, right? And it's really important. This is from question 459 in the Spirit's book. The influence of the spirits upon our thoughts and actions, either for the good or for the bad, is greater than you suppose. For very frequently, it is they who guide you. How many of you believe that? Can you be controlled? Control is a strong word. Yeah. I wouldn't agree. I don't agree with the control. That's a trick question. But influence, right? Think about your thoughts. And many of you that are my age or even younger, you remember the cartoons, with the little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder, right? And we have these choices, and which one is our thought, which one is our guardian angel, if you will. And if you think about influence, it makes sense. Typically, what we learn is that first thought is probably ours, our true self, right? But then we get influence from the energy that's around us. So if I'm spending most of my time here at the Spiritist Center, right? And with you guys that study and lift me up and help me keep me on the right path, my energy is probably higher than if I'm spending time in other places where I used to frequent, on a Thursday night. All kinds of places, right? So if I'm elevating my energy, if I'm living right, if I'm studying, if I'm spending time with like-minded people with good energy, my influences are going to come from more positive energy. Does that make sense? But it can very easily, right, in the heat of the moment, be influenced by negative energy, right? Like on that turnpike trip I make every day where I get cut off by a semi, right? And I tell the guy he's number one. I won't show you. It's not nice, right? But in that moment, my energy drops dramatically, and my influence changes, right? I start making bad decisions if I let that continue. So, what are the mechanics of spiritist communication? It goes beyond matter, right? It's that thought, that energy, that connection that happens because of the things I'm doing, where I'm spending my time, the people I'm spending my time with, the thoughts, the words that are coming out of my mouth, the actions. And that perception can be as simple as intuition, or can be as strong as a more feeling of being guided or directed completely. And it's all tied to the emotional state that I'm in, the ideas that I'm having, and the energy I'm drawing towards me. So the role of the paraspirit in this mediuminic communication. Remember, we have physical body, right? I'm incarnated. My spirit is attached to this physical body via this cord, if you will, this paraspirit. And through this connection, right, is how spirits will communicate or influence me, is through that connection. I love the diagram, like we're mind melding, yeah? But it's like that. The intuition travels, it's connected, but it's not just necessarily through the air. There is this connection, and it's nourished and supported by that universal cosmic fluid, that fundamental matter, piece of matter that's in all things. So, are we all mediums? I already told you, right? I gave that away, right? Yeah, everybody is the thought. I should clarify that. Everyone who is in any degree influenced by spirits is a medium. Do you have to know that you're being influenced by a spirit to be influenced? No, right? A lot of people like that. Me, for the longest time, my wife and I joke about this because I for years, I would say, I'm not a medium, but she would have all these examples of how I guess I was. Because there's different types, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but all it takes is influence to any degree is a medium. And most of us, all of us, probably have experienced this to some degree. So, what is mediumship? And what we learn here from Andre Louise in the Missionaries of the Light, is the book that this comes from, is mediumship is one of the human being's attributes, which is used to communicate with spirits. I love how it's an attribute of the human, yeah? Not of the spirit, it says, but of the human, right? In the physical form. Because remember, spirits in the spirit realm, right, that aren't incarnated, right, they're spirit, they're doing the talking, right? The medium is in physical form, receiving the message. And what you see in the diagram here is a psychography, right? A psychographer. So the medium is receiving the message from the spirit there in the background and writing it down. Most of the books, what am I saying most? All the books we read, right, were transcribed that way. So, medium or mediumship, what's the definition? What's the difference? You guys know? I bet you some of you know. I'm not always sure. But there's the definitions, right? There's 3 of them up there. Mediumship, we talked about it, simply the exercise of the mediumistic faculty. The fact that you can be influenced or receive influence from spirits, right? That's the definition of mediumship. The one on the bottom, right, the medium. That's the interpreter of the spirits, right? The person that receives the message, that translates it or writes it down and conveys it to others. And the one in the middle there, mediumistic, that's pertains to the faculty, right, itself, the act of it, not necessarily the person or the definition, but the faculty of being the intermediary. But all of those words are tied together. So, how does this happen? What is the mediumistic faculty? And what they tell us here is that it's definitely inherent in the human species. It's something that we all have and have the ability to develop. It's definitely different from person to person. So you can have mediums that are more versed or more experienced at exercising this and understand it and develop it more. You can have some that go through life never educating themselves. They never take a class, but they definitely receive and are influenced heavily. But there's many different phenomena. So we talked about psychography, right? The writing. There's mediums that paint. There's mediums that sing. There's mediums that are vocal. There's mediums that many different forms of this. But the most common, right, that we experience, at least that I'm familiar with, right, we read these books every day. It's very common to read books that have been psychographed. But more so, people that receive messages and convey it verbally from others, or from spirits, rather. But there's many different degrees of this. And so how many of you first came to a spirit descender expecting to talk to spirits or get in touch with somebody that died? I'm always fascinated by that. A lot of you? Nobody wants to admit it, right? Okay. All right, fair enough. But what we see happen a lot of times is you read about us online, you study a little bit on your own, and then you come hoping for this conversation to get connected. And definitely we have these conversations. We'll talk about that. We'll help you through this. But you won't see us in a spirit center evoking your mom or your grandpa or something publicly. You know, it's not something we do as far as a phenomena. There isn't like a public meeting for that. We do have mediumship meetings. We have mediumship classes, but you won't see us evoking anything or connecting publicly like this for different reasons that we'll talk about. And here's kind of the 2 different definitions. There's 2 different breakdowns, although we could delineate this further and further. But if you think about the 2 main categories, right, that subliminal medium is that medium that doesn't necessarily know or doesn't experience the manifestation. There's no manifestation of it, but you feel the influence per se, but there's no apparent manifestation. An ostensible medium, right, it's evident to the medium, to the person, that there's something there, that there's something going on. It's much less subtle. It's more in your face, if you will, more direct. So what about mediumship? What they're telling us in this slide is it's not a good or a bad force. Mediumship is simply a faculty, right? Mediumship can be used with good intentions or bad intentions. It's a neutral activity. In and of itself, it has no attribute in the sense of good or bad. But people, mediums with good energy, with good intentions, can use that for the benefit of others, for the benefit of themselves, for the benefit of their moral involvement. Or mediums with negative intentions or negative energy can use it for not so good things. Right? I'm still trying to get the lotto numbers. I'm kidding, but you see my point, right? We can use mediumship for for fun and games or not so serious things, right? Or it can be used for morally enriching activities. So, if we think about this, lots of religions, and it goes all the way back to Moses, right? Because remember, during Moses' time, mediumship was believed in. Reincarnation was a common belief. It was in early Judaism. It was definitely practiced or believed. And speaking to spirits, mediumship was practiced and believed. But it took a turn where it was becoming more of a business, more of a charlatan type thing, more of a way to make money. So Moses' prohibition was definitely justified, and Spiritism wouldn't disagree with that at all. In fact, we've taken a lot of those reasons that he prohibited mediumship and laid them out for our mediums to understand that, look, this is what it's all about. It's not for business. It's not for money. It deserves respect. It deserves education. It's part of evolving. It's not just a tool to be used for fun and games. So Spiritism condemns everything that motivated Moses' interdiction, right? We don't sacrifice children or offer libation to honor gods, right? No more idols, no more sacrifices. Could you imagine? That'd be crazy, right? But, anybody bring the dog tonight? No. But that'd be crazy, right? But I'm sure that still happens. And, if that's their thing, that's their thing. But you won't see that here because it's just not necessary. We don't inquire of heavenly bodies, right? The dead or sorcerers in order to divine the future that God has widely hidden from humankind. So I joked about the lotto numbers, right? It's not possible. It's not the purpose of mediumship. Mediumship should not be used to enrich myself, to enrich others in material ways, or to lay out the future, because then what would free will be, right? If we could be told what's going to happen, free will would no longer be a valid premise, right? It would be, the whole thing would crumble, right? So there's no divinity, and there's no usefulness in that. So it's not used for that. Spiritism also rejects any form of making a business of the faculty of communicating with spirits, which some possess. And there's a lot of money to be made in this, right? I keep telling Livia when the rent's due, we should hang out a sign, right? Readings, $10. She gets mad at me, right? But go to places like Casadegua, right? Big business there. In every town, every major highway, there's psychic readings available. There's people with internet businesses. All this about helping you predict your future, or understand your future, or talk to the dead, guiding you. But Spiritism partakes. You'll never see in a Spiritist center a charge for anything that we do with it. Spiritism has adopted Christ's teachings in the sense that this is charity, right? This is a God-given faculty that we develop. It's information to be shared to help people evolve, to help people through their problems. And there's never a charge for any of this stuff at a Spiritist center. Shouldn't be, right? So if you think about this center, right? We're here on Thursday nights, right? But there's things on Monday night, right? We have a big group of Portuguese-speaking Brazilian Spiritists that are here on Monday nights. On Tuesday nights, is the place empty? No, we got tons of classes on Tuesday nights. Probably, was it 5 or 6 classes on Tuesday nights? Wednesday night, is the place empty? No. We have fraternal counseling, right? Where counselors, not licensed psychologists, right? But we're talking Spiritist counselors, fraternal counselors, to help you from a Spiritist perspective, encouraging also to seek medical attention. Don't stop seeing doctors and things, but to help you on the spiritual side, to listen, to counsel, to help direct you for therapeutic passes, prescription for passes, if you will, like the degree of help that you need spiritually. Thursday night, best night of the week to be here, right? Except the one I'm speaking. You got to put up with me, right? But we're here on Thursday nights. Friday night, I think we're dark, right?
No, we have a class.
We have a class on Friday night? Tell me about it. I don't know. Okay, awesome. We have a class on Friday nights. Saturday and Sunday, sometimes we have activities, but I don't think we have anything scheduled. All right, so my point is, It's charity. This is work. You'll hear us talk about the workers of the center, right? The guys and the girls with the blue things around their neck, or the guy that never wears one, because I can't find mine. But we don't wear a uniform. We don't have a paycheck. We're volunteers, right? We don't profit from this in any way. I don't even think we have official nonprofit status, right? It's not about the monetary piece of this. It's strictly about service. And then finally, right, Spiritism, we're not motivated by curiosity or greed, but by a sentiment of piety and a desire to learn, to improve themselves, or to comfort suffering souls. So I've been a Spiritist, I think, for a long time, but I didn't know it until about 13 years ago, when my wife told me that I was, because of what I believed. I'd never seen a Spiritist book, but I described my beliefs, and she said, "Oh, you're a Spiritist." I said, "Okay, whatever." I had no idea what she was talking about, but I read a couple books that she gave me, and she says, "Okay, you're right, I'm a Spiritist." But my point to this is 13 years ago, right, I was a Spiritist, right? I could tell you that. Yeah, I conform, or I believe, or those topics or those beliefs are familiar to me. I would say I agree with those things. I don't know if I would have called myself a Spiritist, but I had those beliefs. I had similar thoughts. They didn't contradict any of my core beliefs. But the person I was 13 years ago is not the person I am today. So 13 years of studying, 13 years of reading, and little by little, it's not like I have a job, I have kids, I have bad habits, I don't like to talk about them, right? I don't walk on water or anything like that. But 13 years ago, the person I was is a whole lot different than the person I am today, because I'm improving, right? I still have a lot of work to do, but studying this stuff, getting up here and talking about it, going to classes, I'm a completely different person 13 years into this because of the time I devote to studying Spiritism and doing Spiritist activities. And that's the piece, that's the last piece of this, right? We're motivated not by curiosity or greed, right? There's no gain in this monetarily, but to grow and to improve. And what's the model that we aspire to? You guys know, yeah? Christ, yeah? To live the way he showed us. Don't get me wrong, crucifixion is something to talk about, it's something to learn from, but the importance, the significance, the way Christ saved us, if you will, is the way he lived, right? The example he gave us and the steps he took, the words he spoke, the deeds he did, right? The charity he performed, right? He saved us by giving us the example of how to live. So Spiritism, in addition to rejecting all these things, in its very simplest form, aspires to the moral improvement of Christ-like behavior, right? To live like he lived, to live his example. And that's the goal. And do I do that perfectly every day? Heck, no. Just ask people that know me outside of this place, right? But I'm better and better at it every day, thank God, because of the tools that we have here. So the mediumistic practice, according to the interpretation of Spiritism, has as an objective these 4 points, right? To receive advice from enlightened spirits, right? Notice it says enlightened spirits, right? Not poor intended spirits, not funny spirits, not what's the mischievous spirits is the word I like to use, right? But the goal is to receive advice from enlightened spirits. How do I get advice from enlightened spirits? Spend time with enlightened people, right? Spend time with people with higher energy. Spend time with people studying the same things, right? Have the drive in my car. I drive like an hour each way to work every day. So 13 years ago, I used to listen to this guy named Howard Stern, right? Made me laugh. I love that guy and all his funny characters. I can't listen to it anymore. It brings me down, you know. Now I listen to Cardac radio, or I listen to YouTube videos, or I listen to Wayne Dyer, you know, stuff like that, stuff that's more positive. Because that's one of my goals, right? To connect with enlightened spirits, to moralize those people imprisoned in the meshes of vices and passions. Guess what I don't do anymore? I don't do drugs anymore. I don't drink anymore. Right? I still drive a little too fast, you know. I was addicted to tobacco until maybe 2 months ago. I don't talk about that a lot, but I'm clean. I'm not using tobacco anymore, right? It's still early in the year. I could start tomorrow. You never know. That's a tough one to quit. But my point is, after 13 years of doing this, I still have some bad habits. But I'm getting cleaner and cleaner as a result of trying to free myself of these vices, right? The ones I still have are less severe than the ones I used to have. With the help of a lot of you in this room, right? 6 or 7 years ago, I was thinking about quitting doing these talks, right? Because I felt like a hypocrite, right? And then it dawned on me that I'm not up here because I'm perfect. I'm up here because I'm trying every day. And I'm trying simply by following some of these things. And by no means do I do this. Do I hit it out of the park every day. What's number 3? To develop and increase knowledge and understanding of who we are, what is our origin and our destination. What is our origin? Do you know? Where do we start? All of us, each of us, every living thing. Created by who? Created by God. Simple and lacking knowledge, right? Simple and lacking knowledge. We all started there, right? And then we live that life and we grow a little bit. We die. We come back in another body. We grow a little bit more, right? So all of us are exactly who we are, where we're supposed to be because of the choices we made or didn't make, right? Consequences of our actions, cause and effect, right? Not because I have a gray cloud over my head, not because God loves me more than he loves you, not because I'm special or Valdo's special, right? We're all exactly where we put ourselves based on our choices and our free will. And that's powerful. There's no such thing as life isn't fair, right? Life is fair. We're exactly where we put ourselves. Thank God. When you have a bad day, when you have an issue, when you have challenges, I think one of the best ways to look at it, and I'm not perfect at this, but I try. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to grow. Thank you, God, for this guy that hates me, that is my enemy. I love him. I pray for him. I want him to thrive. You know, all these different challenges that happen in life. Try to grow from them. What about, that's our origin, right? And where we are now. What's our destination? What do we know? Where are we going? Right? I'm convinced, and I think Valdo, I think you covered, Simone covered this a few weeks ago in her talk about free will versus destiny. Yeah? There's definitely a destiny for all of us. Right? We're definitely created, simple and lacking knowledge, all of us here. And we are all destined for perfection, right? This Christ-like perfection. Right? We're all going to use our free will in between to shorten that lot, to increase or decrease the pain and suffering in that process. That's the free will part. But we're all going to get here, and we all started here. Everything else is cause and effect. So that's our destination. We will become pure spirits one day. Some of us sooner than others. And then finally, to maintain friendly and loving relationships with the departed loved ones, right? Think about the people in your life that have gone before you, that you can remember, right, in this life. Think about the loved ones from previous lives that went before you. Some of them you had good terms with, some of them you had bad terms. There's all these consequences of our previous lives unfolding in this life, influences from the other side, from things we've left undone. Right? So we have our current physical and mental situation, and we also have spiritual issues from things that have been left undone. All of these things tie together, and the whole opportunity right now in this life, right? As crazy as it sounds, right? Because I might live to be 80, I might live to be 100. I have some patients that are 106, 102, or I could die tonight, right? In my sleep or whatever, right? But the goal, right, of this short life, because you think about it, this is one life in thousands, who knows how many, right? We have the opportunity, while we're walking, breathing, living right now, to correct for all kinds of stuff that have happened in the past. Every opportunity I have to share love, to make a friend, to apologize, to correct a wrong, to help, to serve. Every opportunity that I can take advantage of to do that, I grow, I correct, I influence others, I help others grow, right? So every opportunity, every moment is an opportunity to grow. And if we can spend more time doing things that are pleasing to our soul or our spirit, as opposed to things that are pleasing to our body or our eyes, right? We're going to grow faster and better and less painfully. But it's hard. Ego and pride complicate things, yeah? Absolutely. All right, so what about the influence of spirits? We're going to talk a little bit about this. What the point they tell us here is this whole mediumship thing is really lost without Christ, right? If we're not trying to grow morally and evolve morally with the example of Christ, then mediumship and the use of that faculty can be trivial in a lot of ways, right? And will be for pursuit of other things besides growth. Here's a picture of lower energy, right? I get nervous just looking at it, right? Hit the mic. But when we spend time in lower energy places, that's the energy that we're attracting. Now, our guardians are always with us, right? They're there to help us, right? If we ask and if we try, right? They're not giving up on us. But we have to do our part. We have to try. Again, mediumship is not restricted to spiritism. It's existed since the beginning of time, right, that we know of, right, written history. There's evidence of it. It has no boundaries as far as faith. Even non-believers, right, atheists believe in mediumship in situations. So, and it's not a spiritist thing. It's a human thing. So mediumship, we're told, all these books are references that help put this talk together. These are all books that are available in our library or online. I think there's PDFs you can get for free online. But the message here is we have this faculty, this human faculty, and if we pursue it from the perspective of evolving and getting better and helping others, it's being put to good use, right? Not prematurely if we use it for bad. So what is mediumship for then, right? There's 4 bullet points. It's a very serious endeavor, we're told. This is from the Spirit's book, question 430, right? Self-illumination, humankind's progress, develop virtues and help others in both planes. Does that make sense? Helping others? Can we help spirits? Can we help the dead, if you will? Absolutely, right? All this time we think about how they're helping us and influencing us. Guess what? We're surrounded by the spirits that are attached in some way or attracted to us. And those that are hurting and in pain that might be around us because of suffering of some kind, we have the ability to help them, pray for them, work for them, help them through their thing, right? Very cool. And when you come here on a Thursday night, wherever you've been, whatever you're doing, whatever energy you've attracted to you, they're with you, they're coming with you. Right? You're bringing them here. So who knows how many spirits you're helping teach tonight? Or boring, you should pick next week. Waldo's talking next week, I think. Right? All right, so that's a great picture of a mediumship meeting, right? Where you've got a director of the meeting. I forget what they call him. Is that the counselor, the director?
The coordinator.
The coordinator, that's the right word. Then you have mediums around the table, but look behind them, right? The guys and girls in whites. That's from the spirit realm, right? So you've got the physical incarnated mediums, you've got the spirit group that helps with that meeting, all there to help free obsessed spirits to progress. Humans progress. So they go on to tell us a few things here, right? All of these attend to spiritual activities, right? Remember that you're involved in a divine worldwide movement, if you will. When we come here on Thursday nights, it's not to socialize and eat cookies. And don't get me wrong, the cookies are good and the coffee's pretty good too. But the way I look at this and the way I think most of you look at this is Thursday's like a new week, right? When I was growing up, I went to church on Sunday, right? Now I go to church on Thursday. But we don't call it church, right? We call it the spiritual center. This is my day. Like on Thursdays, I try to eat more cleanly, right? I don't eat red meat. I eat more vegetarian. Maybe I have some fish. When I was doing tobacco, I avoided tobacco most Thursdays. Just try to live a little bit more pure, a little bit more elevated. Because coming here and connecting with a message, being clean, just helped me evolve a little bit more, help me feel better, help me get to a higher place. But all of these things, right? The purpose of spiritism, the purpose of coming to these things, right, is to increase our exchanges with each other, to raise our energy, to help move us in a more positive direction. So we're running a little short on time, so I will not belabor the point. But this is important, right? This is from the Medium's book, item number 197. Kardec shares with us that all good mediums are those who understand that the true medium has a mission to fulfill, and that one must be ready, when necessary, to sacrifice one's tastes, habits, pleasure, time, and even one's worldly interests to the good of others. The profound piece, that's a wonderful quote, right? But the profound piece of that is the one that says that one must be ready when necessary to sacrifice. So a medium, right, that's truly following the example of Christ, that's trying to evolve, that's devoting this time to growth and study and service through mediumship, sacrifices, right? They give up things, right? Their physical enjoyment of things, their habits, their pleasure, their time. I can think of a lot of people in this center, a lot of the workers, that do a heck of a lot more than I do, right? They're here 3-4 nights. They're here on the weekends, working, volunteering. And those people, I'm reminded of those people when I read this, the sacrifices they make. I've always been okay with talking to people. I don't have a problem getting up and speaking. I talk a lot, right? Which is either good or bad. But so this is not hard for me, right? I like this, right? I don't like some other things, right? And I don't do some of those other things. The center could definitely use some help in the kitchen, yeah? They could definitely use some help cleaning the building. They could definitely use help with some of the administrative stuff that we do. And there's people in the background that you don't see that are doing those things. And that's why doing this seems like, yeah, I'm helping, I'm volunteering, but there's so much more I could be doing. So when I read this, it reminds me that some of the things that I don't like to do, maybe that don't come easy for me, I could find other ways to give and to donate. Does that make sense? I guess I'm also saying that if you guys have a passion for this place, if you like this place, don't get me wrong, money is important, but you don't see us pass the hat, you don't see us solicit donations. But if you like what we're doing here, and there's something you're interested in, talk to one of the workers about a project maybe that we're working on, or learning how to do the gospel at home at your own house, and then teaching others. We have different groups that could definitely use help. So if you're looking for a way to grow and evolve, right, we have tons of projects that you might be able to volunteer for and help, but only if you have a desire. We have the opportunity, so it exists, and I'm going to try to do more than just get up here and talk. And then finally, this is great, yeah? And we just talked about this, right? Mediumship is an opportunity of service, a blessing from God that makes it possible to maintain contact with the spiritual life. I love that, right? So you're here in the Spiritist Center. Obviously, you believe in mediumship. If you want to foster that, if you want to develop that, we have books, we have resources, we have classes, and we have tons of ways to serve. So I would encourage each of you to take this time tonight as we get ready for our passes, to connect, contemplate on your connection with the way you're spending your time, with the energy you're drawing to yourself, and just think about little things you can change to keep your energy high each day. So I thank you for your time and your attention. Appreciate you putting up with me for 30, 40 minutes. And thank you for coming. So I will stop.